What kinds of things did you learn in sex ed at school in Germany?
We learned about the genitalia, we learned about the menstrual cycle, we learned about contraception and about masturbation.
Yeah, I think the usual stuff. Just about the bodies in general, like the differences between female and male bodies. In general, I mean, in Germany, I think there are just certain things you have to learn in school during sex ed. So I think we covered all the basics. Condoms and birth control, how sex works, I guess.
Well, we obviously have the play around with the condom and the banana, or the condom and the cucumber, and we talked about contraception, but we didn't really talk much about STDs, for example. It was very medical. And also they never covered anything about like same-sex couples or something. It wasn't really the relationship aspect of sex ed, just really the scientific aspects.
Did you learn about condoms?
Yes.
We had one class where we were divided into groups, and every group had to talk about certain contraceptive methods, all from like temperature to like the pill and all these other, and condoms obviously. No, we talked about it, but it was a bit basic, I think. I wish we had a bit more of a comparison of which one is the most effective, for example.
I think what I never really learned was, that sexuality can be really nice and it can be fun. There was always this, don't get pregnant.
I never heard in school or anywhere else something like, I think American kids hear a lot that you shouldn't have sex before marrying someone, because I never heard that. No.
In the US, a lot of schools teach abstinence-only sex education, and this often means teaching nothing at all about condoms or other birth control options, and instead teaching the students that not having sex at all before marriage is the only safe sex possible. What do you think about this? As far as you know, do they teach abstinence-only sex education in schools in Germany? Was this taught at your school?
No, not at all.
No, it wasn't.
I don't think I've ever heard of the term abstinence in school.
I've heard of this, that it's in a lot of countries, in a lot of cities in the US like this.
Well, I would say that German schools are more realistic, assuming that adolescents actually do have sexual intercourse. And I would say that it does more damage not to inform them about anything else, because, not knowing anything is kind of dangerous, and I guess it leads to unwanted pregnancies, diseases, etc., because the people just don't know better.
I think it's sort of a little bit ignorant and silly to say, oh yeah, well, no, just don't have sex at all. That is the safest thing to do, because I don't think that students will say, oh, well, my teacher said to not have sex, so that's what I'll do. And I think it's much safer to educate everyone correctly.
So in Germany, it's totally different. I think our teachers are very much concerned to really look at the real world of the students or that they're living in. I think they're very concerned to really give them a good guideline on how to use contraception.
Like I said, it was very, our sex ed was very science-based, so teaching abstinence wouldn't really work with that concept.
I think it's really dangerous to teach that, because it takes away the possibility to learn about contraception, about birth control, about how to act in these kinds of situations, about your rights and the wrongs you can do. So I think it's really dangerous to just make it easy and be like, okay, they just don't have sex, because I think a lot of people would just ignore that and have sex, but without the knowledge they need.
And also just no safe sex before marriage. I mean, maybe people want to have safe sex after marriage. You should still teach kids how to about contraception and STDs. So no, we didn't learn that.
In Germany, abstinence isn't discussed at all. I think maybe people say some people wait until marriage, but that's not taught at all in our schools.
I was at a public school, of course, so I think all the public schools in Germany are teaching the stuff I learned. So there's no abstinence-only education. I don't think that's happening. But I don't know about maybe Catholic schools or something. Maybe it's different there, but then it's not really huge in Germany. We really have a relatively good system of public school. Normally, if you're going to a normal public school, you're not learning about abstinence only. And I think that's a good thing.
Have you heard that in the US, some people get the abstinence-only sex education?
Yes.
I'm from California, so this is not the case, but I do know of other places where that is the case, and it's, pretty terrible.
I had a very crappy sex ed in my school. Not good, no. We basically learned nothing. As a lot of schools in America, they did not talk about safe sex. We did not learn about condoms, or it was pretty much just, it was drilled, just don't have sex. And that is just not a realistic thing.
Studies show that this doesn't work. You know, in places where there is abstinent-only sex education, the rate of STDs is higher, the rate of that's sexually transmitted diseases, the rate of pregnancy is higher, and just a lot of misinformation for those young people.
It is kind of crazy, though, that that's the only safe option. They don't inform them about anything, though.
What I like in Germany, they're more like, you're going to have sex either way, so be safe. And I think, the idea behind abstinence only is really, you should never have sex, only if you're married, and sex is really something very bad, and you should, evade it, and just get into it if you want to get pregnant or something. And I think it also creates a lot of bad feelings, actually, because I think then children are afraid to have sex, which you shouldn't be. It can be a great thing. Then you have the impression that sex is something forbidden, and I think personally, if something is forbidden, it gets more desirable. So I think it's then not a really effective way to teach contraception, to just say, you should never do it, wait until you get married and then do it. That's not working. I mean, that's the thing. For me, it's so funny because it's obviously not working. Young women are still getting pregnant and stuff, and you know it is, and then you keep on doing it. And that's for me very strange, but it's more about the idea, I think, than about the real effect it has.